Mel Kiper dropped another mock draft on ESPN.com. We're going to go over that today. We're going to go over the landing spots for Dynasty Fantasy Football and the long-term player values on top of all the picks. But before you do, you need to click that subscribe button because we're covering mock drafts. We're covering rookie drafts for Dynasty Fantasy Football. We're helping you build your Dynasty teams and everything else. Click that button, stop missing out. But let's dig into this mock draft. It's a one-rounder. It's a Mel Kiper mock, and we get these every few weeks. It's combine week, so that makes sense that he dropped a mock draft today. But we're going to dig in. We're going to take a look at the mock draft, and we're going to start rolling on down. There's this pretty face right there. And who's going to be the first pick off the board? Who's that going to be? First player off the board? That's going to be Caleb Williams. First player off the board, and we see this on the majority of mock drafts. Nothing has changed, and nothing's really going to change until we see a deal with the Bears. And if we don't see a deal with the Bears, more than likely they're going with Caleb Williams, and that's what the market's saying. That's what media is saying, and we're going to have to roll with that until we get new information. Dynasty Fantasy Football, first pick in Superflex leagues. Easy, cut and dry. 1 QB leagues, middle of the first round. That's where you're going to see him, but it really depends on what the wide receivers and running backs do in this year's draft. Moving on to the next pick here. At 2, the Commanders go with Jayden Daniels. I want to see what Kiper thinks about him, but it's between him and Drake May. We all know that. Daniels is not thrown at the combine. However, we'll see him in pro days. We've seen plenty of film over at LSU. He can sling it downfield. He's got mobility in the pocket. And they're getting an LSU quarterback over a North Carolina quarterback, which they just had a North Carolina quarterback. So maybe there's some system issues there. On top of that, it's Drake May versus Jayden Daniels. Who do you like better? That being said, we're seeing these two guys fight it out in mock drafts. Jayden Daniels going to the Commanders. Do you like that fit, first off? Do you like any of these other quarterbacks going to the Commanders? Do you feel good about that? That being said, the Commanders get Jayden Daniels here. He's going to be a top pick in Superflex drafts. Easy top 5, top 3-ish. Him versus Marvin Harrison Jr. really depends on how juiced up the quarterback position is in your league. That being said, we're moving down. Patriots draft Drake May, and they're getting their quarterback. They're solidifying themselves for the future. That makes sense. Marvin Harrison Jr. does not make sense for them whatsoever. Drake May going to the Patriots. He's probably going to be a little bit cheaper in drafts. Not so much, though, considering he's going to get a Patriots discount, considering people do not like the offense. But this is what the Patriots have to do. They have to start rebuilding at the quarterback position. They got to get their quarterback. They got to take some swings at the fence here to see what can happen. To the next pick, I can kind of guess it here. Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Cardinals. Just like every other mock draft, we see it. Harrison to the Cardinals. Going to be second pick off the board in Dynasty. Should be a great selection for the Cardinals. Pair well with Kyler Murray. And Marvin Harrison Jr. going to start off with that Hall of Fame career there in Arizona. To the next pick, Chargers go offensive tackle, and they go Latham from Alabama. A head scratcher to some of you guys who are wanting them to draft Brock Bowers or maybe even Malik Nabers, but they're going offensive tackle here. Remember the regime here, the coaching staff, they're more meat and potatoes, so I could see that happening. Going down to 6, dropping down here, and the Giants select Odunze as the second wide receiver off the board. He's going to stretch the field. He's going to give them some size. He's going to give them some length. This team's got some speed with Jalen Hyatt, and they also got plenty of work with the slot receivers. Wan'Dale Robinson looks good, and looks like they're going to stick with Danny Dimes. And Kiper likes Danny Dimes a lot, so don't expect Kiper to roll with a quarterback for the Giants in many of his mock drafts, if any. Moving down to 7 here. And the Titans select offensive tackle Joe Alt. I like him a lot. I think this is going to be great for Will Levis. Moving down to 8, Falcons go outside linebacker Dallas Turner from Alabama. Bears go Malik Nabers, and we're pairing Caleb Williams with an elite wide receiver. This would be a perfect marriage because Malik Nabers is going to do some things at the NFL level. I will still have him ahead of Odunze. I think this is a great landing spot for him. I think this is better. I would rather have Caleb Williams than Daniel Jones. I can say that easily. Even with DJ Moore there, I think these two wide receivers are very similar, but I think they can work together very well, and I think this could create a dynamic offense in Chicago, but this is all on the shoulders of Caleb Williams. That being said, Malik Nabers, top tier pick in Dynasty still. Moving down in this draft at 10, Brock Bowers goes to the Jets. And if you think about it, he's not going to fall too far. This is an elite talent at the tight end position. You're seeing a lot of mocks of him going to the Bengals. That's not going to happen unless they trade up. Aaron Rodgers gets Brock Bowers. That's going to add another dynamic, another wrinkle to the offense. Makes sense NFL terms. For fantasy, it's going to hold similar value because you can see what's happening here with him and Aaron Rodgers, especially for the short term. To the next pick here at 11, Vikings go defensive end Jared Verse. He's nasty out of Florida State. At 12, Broncos go J.J. McCarthy. And I am saying this right now, he's going to get bumped up in Superflex drafts. He's not going to go in the back half of the first round. It's going to be more of the middle of the first round if he gets this draft capital. And I'm seeing a lot of rumors about him getting this draft capital. Him going to the Broncos. They got to rebuild at the quarterback position. This is something they got to do. Do you like J.J. McCarthy? What is he going to weigh in this week? Is he going to be above 200 pounds or below? Because he's listed at around 200 pounds at Michigan. Those are a lot of questions we're going to ask ourselves. We're going to see him throw this week at the Combine. Are we going to come away from the Combine impressed? J.J. McCarthy, though, going to the Broncos, going to be a mid-round selection at 12 in Superflex rookie mock drafts if this happens. To our next pick here at 13, and the Raiders go Byron Murphy, defensive tackle from Texas. At 14, the Saints go offensive tackle from Penn State, helping the offense there on the O-line. Cornerback for the Colts, Terrion Arnold from Alabama. And Seattle goes guard from Washington. Dropping it down to the next pick, Jacksonville goes cornerback Quentin Mitchell, who lit up the Senior Bowl. Going down to the Bengals, offensive tackle. The Bengals fans have been asking for offensive line help for quite some time. That makes sense. At 19, cornerback for the Rams. Going down to the next pick, cornerback for the Steelers. That's letting me know there's a lot of offensive line still on the board. To 21, Dolphins go center from Duke. You got some guys jumping up the board I'm seeing here. Outside linebacker to the Eagles. I know in a lot of mocks they've been going cornerback. A lot of Eagles fans have not been liking that. But outside linebacker to the Eagles to help shore up that defense. Texans, offensive tackle Tyler Guyton. And I like Guyton from Oklahoma. I think that's a great selection. Considering you got C.J. Stroud in quarterback, you got to keep that offensive line building. Cowboys go offensive tackle from Georgia. They're getting Mims here. And they're going to be heavy favorites to invest in the offensive line this year. Offensive tackle to the Packers. I told you there was going to be an offensive line run. I didn't exactly say it, but I told you there was a lot left on the board. At 26, Keon Coleman to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Evans is gone in this scenario, which is more than likely 99% chance of happening. They need a bigger guy to get downfield. Keon Coleman, a fit for that. We also got A.D. Mitchell and a lot of other wide receivers that could take that spot. Keon Coleman's a good fit here considering they got other wide receivers. He does not have to be the wide receiver one. He can develop into that role. In Dynasty, first round pick. A lot of people are still going to question it, but still this is a great fit for him and Baker Mayfield, who loves to chuck up YOLO balls downfield. Now the Cardinals, their next pick, Darius Robinson. Looking jacked up at the Combine right now in the interviews. I like him a lot. Going to Arizona. Buffalo Bills, Brian Thomas Jr. This is a perfect fit. This is an upgrade over Gabe Davis. He can get downfield. He can press it. He can really get that ADOT for fantasy. He's going to be a top-tier producer here in Buffalo. Him and Josh Allen, perfect mesh, perfect pair. Buffalo's going to like Brian Thomas there. They may like somebody else at another position at this part of the draft, but I think he's going to stretch the field well. This is going to be a great upgrade, and he can lean into the wide receiver one role for Buffalo once Diggs is done with his career. I think this is a great selection here. Detroit goes cornerback at 30. Cornerback for the Ravens. That defense gets nastier. And 31, outside linebacker Chop Robinson to the Niners. And then last pick of the draft here, Xavier Worthy to the Chiefs. I've been saying this with every mock draft. An ancillary wide receiver or a random wide receiver, one of the top wide receivers, whatever you want to call it, is going to the Chiefs in every mock draft here, and we're going to the end of every mock to see what wide receiver it is. I hope the Chiefs just pivot on us with this pick and just really give us a head scratcher, because I like chaos. But just throw in the wide receiver you like here. Xavier Worthy, though, as a fit, if you want any wide receiver to the Chiefs, he's got speed, he can create separation, he can get downfield. But Rashee Rice can do that as well, and they were not pushing it downfield. They may be just rolling with a shorter A-dot for going into the future, and they need more wide receivers. Even if they draft a wide receiver here at 32, like Xavier Worthy here, they're going to be drafting more. I see 2, 3, or more in this year's draft. This is a deep wide receiver class. You can catch wide receivers on day 3. That's going to impact your roster. That's a good thing. Xavier Worthy in Dynasty, first rounder here. First rounder, easy. Any wide receiver going to the Chiefs in the first round at 32 overall, first round pick, easy in Dynasty Fantasy Football. I look for him to be good with the Chiefs because they're going to create separation. He runs into 10-5s. We got speed here. Xavier Worthy is going to give you some upside here. Let me know what you think about Mel Kiper's mock draft in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.